I think everybody, really still has a heavy heart in terms of what's going on with Damar Hamlin, fighting for his life in Cincinnati. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers of our entire organization are with him, his family, the Bills, really the entire football league. What our guys go through and what they put their bodies through to play this game and to chase their dreams is, really important. And when you see something like this, it just reminds you how fragile life is, and it reminds you that, everybody that's involved in this is, although there's a lot that goes into this game, we're all humans here, and I think that's where our thoughts should be.
Dennis, what's sort of your message to your team this week having to deal with all
Yeah, look, I mean, it's difficult. Guys handle these situations in differing ways, and we opened up our team meeting with our psychologist, Dr. Lana Chambliss. She spoke to the team just a little bit, and we just wanted to make sure that our guys knew that there was resources available to help them, cope through this.
How important is it to maybe, not that you want to force anybody to talk to somebody, but to understand that it's good to maybe discuss this and talk to somebody?
Yeah, look, I think, talking to these guys this morning and said, us as men and probably particularly, football players and big, tough, strong, it's okay to admit if you need a little bit of help. And so I just think it's important to have those resources available for guys that want to be able to utilize that.
Dennis, have you, nothing to the extent that Damar, what happened on Monday, but have you been in a situation like that? Where a player or someone's status because of an injury was unknown and then it was just hard for to continue?
Yeah, I don't know that I've, been a part of that in a game. I was a part of James Glenn was a kicker at A&M when I was there playing, and he was out prior to practice, warming up and died on the field, and so I've seen it firsthand and how that affects people, individuals, teams, and it's tough to deal with.
It's been like you've seen just the response kind of around the league, kind of rallying.
Yeah, I think it just shows what a fraternity that this is. Again, people that don't do what these guys do really can't understand. You're putting yourself in harm's way, chasing your dreams on, every time you go out there on the field, and so I just think that that bond that particularly players have with each other is really special and important.
Do you reach out? I mean, maybe not yet, but at some point, I don't know if you have a relationship with McDermott or anybody like that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm sure that everybody that's involved in this is dealing with a lot, and so I just reached out via text to Sean and just let him know that, myself, our entire organization is thinking about him.
Just today at practice, Dennis, did you see any of the players, after you had talked, did you see any sense of them being distracted by?
No, look,
that?
I mean, I think one of the things about this game and football in general is, when you get out there and you get a chance to get out there and practice, it gives you an opportunity to kind of put behind you some things that, may be troubling you off the field, whether it be this situation or any other situation. It's kind of a safe haven for players to get back to a little bit of normalcy. So, I thought our guys, focused in on the plan and getting themselves ready to play a game.
Sorry, Ryan.
Freeman, there's an obvious answer here, but with the schedule, did y'all come
come together at all yesterday, or was that kind of time for everyone?
No, it was really time for everybody to kind of process it on their own. We figured this morning would be a good time to address it with the team and, feel like, we did that and again, like I said, we've got resources available for anybody that needs them.
What happened at A&M? Did that stick with you for a long time?
Yeah, I think it still sticks with you to this day. I mean, look, anytime you have somebody that's, especially, a young guy, that in every other sense you would expect that's fully healthy, and to see something like that happen is it's hard to deal with, and it's tough, and I know what kind of effect it had on our team, and so I can only imagine the guys that were on the field at that point in time, how that emotionally affects them.
And as far as you know, if any of your players have a relationship with DeMar as far as next
Well, Lucas Kroll knew him, and I had a chance to visit with him a little bit yesterday. And he was kind of, had some communication and some information on how he was doing, and so I haven't heard any updates lately. But again, really the best that we can do right now is try to lift him up in prayer and pray for him and his family, and again, all the Bills organization and really the entire NFL players.
I know, I think your son's a freshman in college, so he's not that much younger than DeMar. I know you deal with it from a football perspective, but somebody who's got kids around that
Look,
age.
I think anytime you see something like this in a situation like this, it really puts life in perspective. And I think most of us, not all of us, but I think most of us, have kids and realize that, these are young men, but yet they're still somebody's brother, somebody's son, somebody's husband. And so look, life is fragile, and it really puts everything into perspective when you see something like this happen, and it's hard.
I think this has been something that I have personally been affected by, especially with it happening to a Bills player, the Bills fan base, and just a lot of people that support Buffalo have donated to my foundation through a win. Now this is something completely different. This is a tragedy that something happened, and so one way to show our support is we wanted to give back. I mean, in the way that we can, and I think the outpouring of support that not only he has received from people in the NFL, his family has received, it's just from, really the entire country. Shows that this is so much bigger than the game of football and the impact that football can have on so many different communities, so many different lives. And so that's just a small thing that we can do during this time, is just to show our support that our prayers are with him and his family. And that's not one thing that we just say. Our thoughts and prayers is a word and term that a lot of people use. But the power of prayer is real. And I know one thing for my family, me, JJ, even my kids, we've been on our knees praying for his health and praying for him and his family, the Bills organization, everybody in Cincinnati, and so many people that were involved with this thing. And so the donation is small, but we're really thinking about him and praying that he's going to push through with everything.
What was you and JJ's initial reaction when you saw it just start climbing into the millions? As you said, obviously it very personally affected you guys a few years ago. Kind of shows how, I guess, awesome the community can be.
Right. I think then that's that's one thing. I mean, for when it happened to us, it started off as a small increments. The next thing you know, it was thousands of dollars, and then it got into tens of thousands of dollars, into hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that was for us to see this thing get to in the millions and continue to grow. I think it's something that, I mean, just shows that there's so many people that want to support and love on him and his family and everything that they're doing.
I know that Dennis said that he brought in, I guess, a psychologist or a doctor today. As a veteran player, how important is that? You can tell maybe younger players if you want somebody to talk to, because there is the persona of tough guys in football, but I think everybody needs somebody to maybe discuss things with.
Yeah, I think as men and playing this game, like you said, it's like everybody wants to be tough, but, you know, I think the most important thing is to be vulnerable. And if you're feeling something, let people know and get help if you need it. And so, I mean, there's so many resources that we have, so many people that are here to help. And so that's one way to help those that could be struggling through this time.
How do you kind of just like process the fragility, you know, when you see something like that?
You never want to see it get to that point. You know, we know the risks that we take playing this game. But when you see a life and death situation during this game, it makes you take a step back and think about everything. I think it's something that everybody can do. Obviously, it's a freak accident that nobody expects going to happen. But I think one thing that it's done, I think everybody sees the humanity in this game of the players and what, you know, the unfortunate possibility of what can happen with playing this game.
And how tough was practice today? Just
Yeah, you know, it's part of it. And I think that's one reason why we brought in the clinician, just to help, you know, with anybody that needs that going into this. And so, you know, I feel like, I mean, we did the best we could today.
Maybe you were on the field when Ryan Shazier got hurt, and I know that's its own special situation, but is it hard to compartmentalize and immediately go back to playing the game? I know you've been on the field many times when a player's been injured, and then this is its own separate thing, but has it ever just been hard to just turn your brain off and just keep going, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that I thought of in that situation was, you know, witnessing the Ryan Shazier situation. And I think the hardest part is just the unknown for everybody. Even being on the other side of it, not a teammate, a guy you're going against, but a guy you respect and plays the game the way that he did, to see him get hurt and not know what's coming from that. I think it takes everybody a moment to sit back and pause and think about it. I mean, it is hard to get right back into playing again.
A couple people were saying that seeing a player give a thumbs up or just anything as they leave the field is always kind of helpful. Obviously, Ryan wasn't able to do that, and DeMar wasn't either. Does that change anything? Like, okay, you know that they're hurt, but they're okay, and that helps us be able to go back.
Yeah, I even think you go back to our game with Sweat got hurt. You know, the first thing you're looking at is, okay, is he moving? You know, can I get any sign that he's going to be all right? And so, yeah, I mean, not that you can always count on that, but it definitely does give you a little bit of, you know, hope that everything's going to be all right.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. Like, you've heard people like Skip Bayless, and you heard a couple other people like Bar Scott just, you know, pointing the finger, blaming other people, pointing at fantasy, pointing at playoffs. But you got to think that, you know, under that helmet, we have skin just like you do. We have feelings just like, you know, you do. We have families and other things just like you do. The only thing different is that, you know, we're in the helmet and we're essentially entertainers for people who are watching. forever certain reasons, because fans are just, at the end of the day, rooting for you just because you're good at what you do. And so, people just sometimes need to step back and reflect on, we are just like you when we take that helmet off. And we do the same things just like you. It's just that it's just a little bit different.
Sorry, you asked this. How was practice today, just given circumstance? I know you guys met the team psychologist.
Yeah.
Was practice weird at all? How did you
Yeah.
do today?
Practice wasn't weird, but you definitely know that guys got the message, from DA and Dr. Chambers, knowing that, today definitely can't be taken for granted because, DeMar, just going into the game, he probably just thought it was just a regular game, like you played the game, come back home and, live the life as he once did. And, unfortunately, it wasn't like that. He went to the game and he got hurt. People were affected. I'm sure T. Higgins was affected, knowing that. The thing is, I can't even imagine how he feels, to be honest with you. And the thing is, it's not even his fault. It's just such a freak accident. And knowing that the Bengals organization was affected, the Bills organization was affected, people who were there, the whole NFL, everybody, all parties were affected in that whole situation. So just definitely praying over just everybody, because everybody is feeling some sort of way. And everybody's feeling their own emotions. So just making sure everyone is comforted in their own way and dealing with it in their own way and fashion.
How do you feel about playing this Sunday? And have you heard of the possibility of a 1 week delay? Just taking this weekend off and finishing it next week instead.
Yeah. Well, whatever they feel comfortable with, that's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, like what you've seen on Monday is definitely something that's. I feel like you just never seen it before, and I'm sure, we don't know how to handle it. We just go with what's told from us, but I respect however it goes, because at the end of the day, like it's tough. Like it's tough to really unpack that, and I can't even imagine the team the Bills had to go out there 5 minutes after and try to play a game because of all that emotion, and so that emotion still, even for them to try to play a game this week, is still there. Even for other teams to, even have that thought in their mind, because it's still ingrained in their thoughts to know that that picture is in their mind. And so, and it's not just the Bills, it's not just the Bengals, it's the whole league. And so everybody has that picture in their mind, that image in their mind of DeMar laying on the floor, unresponsive, where everybody was around him. So it's an eerie feeling.
Yeah, extremely difficult. We have a kind of a pit group chat, and majority of us are kind of watching the game. And when that moment happened, I mean, we all just, I was sick to my stomach, tears, filling my eyes, and I'm just gathering, my thoughts, my prayers, and then right, to the group chat with all my brothers, we're all just like, oh my God, like we're all like talking about pray, pray, pray. Like we don't know what's going on. We don't have, a lot of information at the time, but we just know what happened was bad. And, playing with him, obviously I only played with him for a year, but the type of person he is, what he means to the community, to Pitt, to Pittsburgh, I mean, you can't say enough about how great of a man he is. I came in with 1 year, with him, and this guy took me under his wing, showed me the ropes, showed me Pittsburgh, showed me what it meant to be a Pitt man and to play at Pittsburgh. And, man, I can't say enough great things about him. It's a tragic, situation. We've been texting throughout the chat, all day, every day, just trying to get some kind of updates. And everything we're hearing has been positive. Obviously, he's still in critical condition, but, the prayers, I think they're getting answered, they're working. I just ask everybody to continue to pray. Everyone just continue to think about him. That's all we can do at this moment. But, it's looking like it's going to be, hopefully everything's going to be okay. But still, I'm getting emotional talking about it just because, what we do, on that field, it doesn't define who you are as a person. And, DeMar, man, he's a great person. And, I'm really, blessed that he's, it's looking okay.
How hard was it for you today just to suit up and play a game that you just saw your best friend, one of your friends, one of your teammates, just go through something like that?
It's super tough because, you know, now you're taking, I mean, you know, we play this game and, you know, bones will break, you'll get tears, something will happen. But, man, now you're talking life and death. And that takes the game out of everything. And now we're just talking about, you know, our brother, you know, our friend, you know, people's, you know, family members. And that's what's so hard is now we're talking life and death. And so that's what makes it so difficult. And it's so hard to fathom.
How have you seen the reaction to this? And I think one of the cool things you saw was his GoFundMe.
Oh, man,
That just
amazing.
exploded. I mean, what does that say about people who've been able to just, you know, strangers that decide that, hey, you know, we saw this tragedy, that this thing happened, but yeah, we want to do something, and they do something like this.
Well, and I think that's something, what I've noticed is people don't even know who he is, but they see, you know, the tragedy and what's occurred, and they want to do anything they can to help. And what he's done is just a light to show what he's always done. Man, I know he goes back and he does like all-star games, you know, with these young youth kids and, you know, rough areas, and he always wants to bring up kids from Pittsburgh. You know, that's his home, and just to see that everyone's really just trying to, if it's $5, $20, I mean, I've seen up to $20,000, and it's amazing what people are doing just to, you know, give back and show that, hey, we're here, we're supporting you, we're thinking about you, we're praying, and so that's just, it's amazing.
How important was it? I know Dennis said you'll have a sports psychologist come in today to talk about what you do, but you had a personal connection to him, so it had to be maybe more meaningful to you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Chambliss, she's amazing. I mean, she's always around, always, you know, here for anyone that needs support or to talk to. And, you know, yeah, she just emphasized that she's always here. You know, she's going to be here all week just to make sure, you know, if anyone needs to talk to her alone or whatever it is. But, man, she's really great. And, you know, that means a lot because you never know. It could be from DeMar, it could be from anything, but now, you know, she's around. You can always go and talk to somebody. But, you know, in these times it's so tough, especially sometimes as men, to, you know, open up about your feelings. But, you know, in these situations, it's so hard to try to hide them. And, you know, that's what made it so challenging, you know, sometimes for me is, you know, that could have been, you know, that could have been anyone, right? But it happened to be one of my ex-teammates, and that's what makes it so challenging. And just to know that we have Dr. Chambliss to talk to is great.
Is there any part of you that's trying to maybe envision the moment when he wakes up and sees what's happened since he went down and imagining how he'll react and stuff like that? Or is it hard to
No, you know, all I care about is that he's going to be okay, and, you know, all I care about is, you know, making sure his family's okay. You know, his reaction, how he wakes up, as long as he's up, and that's all, you know, we can pray for, and that's all we want is make sure he's going to be okay and that he's going to be safe.